Look at this! The biggest debate in Catalonia isn't about the league title. It's about the return of a player who polarized the fans during his short stint in Spain. Marcus Rashford moved back to Manchester United in 2025 after a successful but debated loan spell at Barcelona, where he contributed 13 goals and 9 assists. Now, the buyback clause inserted into his contract has suddenly become the most discussed document in world football. With Barcelona looking to add more directness to Hansi Flick's attack for the 2026-2027 season, the question on everyone's lips is simple. Should Barça pay the $30 million to bring the Manchester starboy back to the Mediterranean? Or is this just another expensive mistake waiting to happen? The biggest reason Hansi Flick is recorded as being interested in this deal is Rashford's vertical gravity. In Flick's high-intensity 4-2-3-1, the wingers need to be more than just technicians. They need to be sprinters who can exploit the space created when Robert Lewandowski drops deep. While Lamine Yamal provides the magic on the right, Barcelona has lacked a true speed demon on the left who can stretch a defensive line to its breaking point. Rashford, at 28 years old, is in his physical prime and possesses the raw pace that can turn a transition into a goal in under 5 seconds. If you think Barcelona is dangerous now, imagine them with a player who can actually outrun a high-line defense rather than just trying to pass through it. But let's talk about the mental tax that comes with Marcus Rashford. During his first spell at Barça, he was often criticized for his trash decision-making in the final third. There were nights where he looked like the best player in the world, and nights where he looked like he had forgotten the offside rule entirely. Bringing him back means gambling on a player who has historically struggled with consistency. Barcelona fans are used to the clinical nature of players like Neymar or David Villa, and Rashford's tendency to go missing for 3 games at a time is exactly what leads to the bottle job narratives that Hansi Flick is trying to erase. Paying $30 million for a player you already had once feels like a massive admission of failure in your recruitment strategy. The financial weight of this move is another huge factor. Barcelona's economic levers have been pulled so many times they are starting to snap. And spending a significant chunk of the summer budget on a player who isn't a guaranteed starter is a massive risk. In 2026, Barça has recorded a need to strengthen the pivot position and the fullback slots. Using that money on Rashford might mean missing out on a world-class defensive midfielder who could actually provide the balance the team needs. Is Rashford a luxury signing that Barcelona can afford, or is he a shiny distraction from the structural issues that still plague the squad? If they activate the clause and he fails to deliver, the Laporta out movement will have all the ammunition they need. The impact on the La Masia Starboys is the most sensitive part of this debate. Barcelona currently has young talents like Ansu Fati, who is fighting for his career in 2026, and rising academy wingers who need minutes to develop. Bringing Rashford back effectively blocks the pathway for the next generation of Catalan talent. We've seen this movie before with players like Philippe Coutinho and Antoine Griezmann. Expensive superstars come in, take the minutes, and leave the academy graduates rotting on the bench. Barcelona is at its best when it trusts its own, and bringing in a high-wage senior player from the Premier League feels like a step backward into the Galactico era that nearly bankrupted the club. Wait, look at the tactical fit under Flick compared to the previous managers. Rashford struggled under the possession-heavy style because he isn't a tiki-taka footballer. He is a direct, chaotic force. But Hansi Flick doesn't want 800 sideways passes. He wants 10 vertical ones. In a system that prioritizes verticality and gegenpressing, Rashford's physical attributes might actually be utilized correctly for the first time in his career. He is a much better defensive presser than people give him credit for, and his ability to win the ball back high up the pitch fits the Flick blueprint perfectly. Maybe the problem wasn't Rashford. Maybe the problem was a system that asked a sprinter to run a marathon. The leadership void in the current Barcelona squad is also something Rashford could help fill. Having played at the highest level for Manchester United and England for over a decade, he brings a level of experience that the younger players desperately need. While he isn't a traditional shouting captain, his professionalism and work rate are recorded as being top tier. In a locker room full of teenagers, Having a 28-year-old who has seen the highs and lows of the sport could be the stabilizing force that prevents the team from panicking in big Champions League nights. He knows the pressure of the Camp Nou and he knows the pressure of Old Trafford. He isn't going to be intimidated by the bright lights. However, the injury record is a red flag that cannot be ignored. Rashford has struggled with persistent back and shoulder issues throughout his career, and in 2026, he has already missed several weeks of action for Barcelona. Barcelona's medical staff is already overworked with the likes of Gavi and Pedri. Adding another fragile superstar to the list feels like a recipe for disaster. If you are paying $30 million, you need a player who is going to play 50 games a season, not someone who is going to spend April in a hyperbaric chamber. The risk of him becoming a permanent resident of the treatment room is too high for a club in Barca's financial position. We also have to consider that Barcelona is not short of other left-wing targets who might offer more value or a higher ceiling. The club is reportedly monitoring Andreas Schjelderup at Benfica, a 21-year-old who has already flashed superstar potential and would jump at the chance to join. Then there's Mika Götze at Ajax, who is being hailed as the perfect Flick profile due to his high-intensity pressing and flair. Unlike Rashford, these players represent long-term investments rather than stopgap solutions. If Barca brings back Rashford, they are essentially closing the door on younger, hungrier talents who haven't already had their chance at the Camp Nou and failed to become a permanent fixture. Even more complicated is the wild card list of alternatives like John Virgili, the La Masia graduate currently developing at Mallorca, or the potential return of Ez Abde from Real Betis. These are low-cost, high-reward options that would allow Deco to save money for other areas of the pitch. While Anthony Gordon is the impossible dream being linked from Newcastle, the reality is that Barca has 6 different names on their shortlist. If the club chooses Rashford over a younger, cheaper alternative like Schjelderup or Götze, they are betting on nostalgia over evolution. In 2026, with the Highline system demanding 100% intensity, any winger who isn't a perfect fit is just a waste of space and wages. Finally, we have to look at the fan sentiment. Half the Camp Nou wants him back for the vibes and the spectacular goals, while the other half thinks he is a symbol of the trash recruitment that got the club into debt in the first place. The polls in the Catalan newspapers are split. If he comes back and scores an El Clasico, he's a hero. If he misses a sitter against Getafe, he's the Manchester bottle job who stole a spot from an academy kid. The margin for error is 0. In 2026, Barcelona is a club that cannot afford any more mistakes, and Marcus Rashford is the ultimate hit or miss signing. So, tell me in the comments, would you activate the $30 million clause or let him stay in Manchester? Why are we even considering bringing back a player who already had his chance and didn't take it? This is the decision that will define Laporta's final term. Please do subscribe if you liked the video, please.